Let's talk about CPD again, continuing professional development. It's been a while. I think it's time for a quick update. Policy still stays the same. Nothing has changed. So you can obtain or gain CPD credits in 3 different categories. Each category will have subcategories underneath it, and I will explain them to you right now. Then the second part of the video, we're going to look at what's happening in the industry, the rumors that's going around, the concerning stuff. And then lastly, I will touch on a possible solution that you could implement that I will help you to create a sustainable environment that's cost effective from a CPD point of view. First part, let's just run through the policy again. Category 1A, compulsory. Those are developmental activities, and you have to get 5 credits over a 5-year cycle. Compulsory, have to. 5 credits, 5-year cycle. Those are all your CPD validated events. Make sure when you go to an event that it's CPD validated, validation number, and that it's validated for a certain period of time. That is your category 1A activities. Now there's a huge part in category 1A, which for the individuals who does additional qualifications, you also get credits for that. Part-time qualifications, it's linked to credits, those kind of things. You get a lot of credits for doing a PhD, by the way. So great opportunity there. Then category 1B, that's your individual activities. All of the non-validated stuff that you do, webinars, courses, Friday afternoon talks, training your candidates, drafting material for them, all of those kind of things, they count. For every 10 hours, you get 1 CPD credit. In this category, maximum of 3 credits per year. Category 1A, a minimum of 5 credits over a 5-year cycle. It's basically 1 credit a year. Not that difficult. Whereas category 2B, you can get a maximum of 3 credits per year. Now category 2, those are your work-based activities. So category 2, also A and B part, work, mentoring. So category 1A, if you go to work and you spend 300 hours at work, you get 1 CPD credit, 600, you get 2 credits. Now I know you work much more than that, but you can't claim for it. You can claim a maximum of 2 credits, maximum 600 hours, and we all know you work more than that. Supporting evidence, letter from HR, confirming that, sorted, no problem. B side of things, for every 50 hours you get 1 credit, maximum 1 credit per year. So you can only claim for 50 hours of mentoring during the year. Not per candidate, not any of that. Total of 50 hours, 1 credit. Evidence, I've got a workplace training plan, which just ask me for it, I'll send it to you. You can use that, it meets all of the requirements for both candidates and also for your mentoring evidence. It's category 2. Category 3, now okay, there's some changes here. Category 3A, belonging to voluntary association, same, 1 credit per year, maximum 1. Yeah, but what if you belong to various organizations or voluntary associations? You can only claim for 1 of them. Can't claim for belonging to SAICI and SAIMEKI. As an example, bad example, but yeah, you get the point. Then category 3B, those are industry activities. So if you serve on Access Council, you get credits for that. Same story, 10 hours, 1 credit. Voluntary associations, if you serve on their committees, you get credits for that. If you evaluate CPD material for the industry, you also get credits for that. Or for a VA, you get credits for that. I think there's a huge part when it comes to the contribution from an academic point of view, you also get credits for that. So those are the categories. Same, just make sure that you know what the maximum and minimums are, so that you don't think that you're compliant, but you're not. Let's talk about the rumors. Interesting one. Now, trust me, I've had enough experience, enough years of experience to tell you that I've heard and seen every single trick in the book. The latest, I just take a project that I've worked on And it was an interesting project, so I condensed it into this document. It was 9 pages long. I submitted to EXA, and they gave me CPD credits in category 1. You cannot do that. You're not going to get credits for summarizing your projects and submitting to EXA and think you're going to get credits. You're not. You can claim for that maybe in 1A, 2A as work activities, but no, you're not going to get credits in category 1A. Then, I just fly overseas, do some overseas courses and seminars and those kind of things, and I get credits in category 1A for that. No, you don't. Unless you submit a form called the ECPD 5 form, which is, EXA, please validate this event for me. You write a little motivation, you send it through to EXA and say, I've been overseas, I've attended this overseas event, or even if you attended it online. So overseas event, it will never be CPD validated. Please validate it for me. Here's my motivation. And they will do it, and you will get your credits in category 1A for attending overseas event, but you have to go through that administrative part of it. You can't just go and then submit it on your form and say, okay, here we go. You have to get that approval. So bear that in mind. So don't think you can jipper that way. It doesn't work like that. There are some people that claim that they go to non-CPD validated events, let EXA know that they've done that, and that EXA should give them credits. Nonsense, man. That is a category 1B activity. So the EXA's not going to give you credits for attending those events. It's category 1B. So they're not going to do that unless you motivate it, right? So if you try and jipper the system, be careful. EXA they're currently busy with selecting 10% of the database for a full-blown audit. So if you've done dodgy stuff or you claim for stuff that you shouldn't be claiming for, you will be caught out. What makes it worse is the fact that, better, EXA is now moving to 20% of the database will be audited. And you will have to submit everything that you've done for them. And if you don't do it, you're going to have a problem. I can assure you that now. So what do you do when you're in a sticky situation? Well, you've got two choices here. Number one, you could either ask for exemption with EXA, and they will grant you that, provided that you can motivate it properly. Your motivation needs to be done properly when you submit that to EXA, so that it's at least carry some weight. And you will be exempted, it's fine. You can even do it online. That exemption is there. So bear that in mind. The exemption is available and you can go down that route. Word of caution, be careful. Also, if you registered your first registration was as a professional technician, and then you become a professional technologist, your CPD is linked to your technician registration. So be careful here that you don't assume that it's now moved to your technologist registration and you find yourself 5 or 10 years down the line and they say you're non-compliant from CPD point of view, then you have to go through the reinstatement process. To avoid that, check with EXA which one they currently have, and if you need to cancel the technician one, cancel it and move over to the technologist one. You still have to complete some forms to do that, but rather do that and do it sooner rather than later. The reinstatement, that happens after a certain period of time. You'll see if you go into your portal and you log in and it says that you're not compliant, then you know it's a CPD issue, or it says fees not paid, you know you have to pay your fees, sometimes both. So don't get caught out like this. Rather go and check and find out what's the deal there before you have to go the reinstatement schlep. It's administrative schlep. My honest opinion, but yeah, if you don't play by the game or play with the rules, then you will get the penalties. That's how it is. So that's the policy side of things. Now, lastly, I want to touch on, but how are you going to make your life easier, or what can you do as a company, firstly, to look after your engineers, your professionally registered individuals, to make sure that they stay compliant and that they get access to CPD credits, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Listen, training has become expensive, and if you've got quite a few engineers that you want to keep them current, it's going to cost you. So what do? Well, you contact me and I'll help you. Not being arrogant, but being honest. So I've managed to figure out a system whereby you can get your own learning material CPD validated, and you can put your professionals through your training program. Number one, and number two, you know that story, one stone, two birds. So developing your own material, and the individuals doing that can claim under 1B. So now you get credits in 1B and in 1A. And it's not going to cost you any money from a training point of view. Yes, the validation is going to cost you money. Yes, registration and those kind of things will cost you money initially. But over a long period of time, you can recover that money. Hell, you can even sell those courses if you want to. But I need to show you how to do it. There's a method, and I've figured out this recipe, and I can help you with that. Obviously, it's a win-win for everybody, for me to be involved in this as well. And it's years of experience that got me to this point. So please give me a shout. Here's my email address, and my cell number is 082-737-5532. You can WhatsApp me as well. And let's streamline it and make your lives easier and save some money and even make some money as a side. It's not a side hustle, as a side, shall we call, support for the industry. So there you have it. Policy, same but different, and how to get solutions that will help you in the process. So I think I covered all bases out of the top of my head. So let's structure that one for you. Take care and good luck with your professional side of things.